Welcome back to the Why So Series podcast. Brandon, Mike, and Devin are back. We're back for another Book of the Month Club. Last time we did New Avengers and Avengers, and we will be finishing that up. But we wanted to take a quick little detour, especially after Solo coming out. We thought it'd be cool to do some Star Wars related book, especially since Marvel's been doing a good job with those. So we decided to read all 25 issues of Darth Vader for 2015, written by Kieran Gillen. I really enjoyed this book. Mike, what did you think about this?
I like the book as well. I think it fills. It doesn't. I mean, there were no. I don't think the movies left any gaps that needed to be filled, but it gives you.
Hold on. You don't think the original trilogy left any gaps?
I mean, okay. Let me rephrase that. I don't think people. I don't know. I wasn't around when they came out, to be honest. So I don't really know what people were saying, but I guess I'm a little spoiled in the sense that I've seen all of them back to back and have all the stuff I can look at.
So when you first watched Empire, before we get into this, when you first watched Empire Strikes Back, you didn't wonder how all of a sudden Vader knew Luke was his son?
No, because I just assumed it was a Force thing.
So how come he didn't know Leia was his son or his daughter?
I don't know. Just like a bunch of people in Star Wars said. Can't really understand the Force. Just kind of go with.
But that doesn't make any sense. If you can force feel your son, you can force feel your daughter. Especially when you know that his daughter is just as strong as Luke with the Force. That was the whole point of this story, wasn't it?
Wow. Not really.
You guys didn't get that? Know. The whole point of this book was...
It was like a redemption story for Vader.
That's what I thought it was for me, too. But...
Yeah, it was that. But the whole redemption was him going out on his own, trying to figure out who the pilot was that blew out the Death Star.
Right.
And that was like the first half, though. After that, after they had their little, there was that crossover on the one planet that was like an ambush or whatever, you didn't really revisit it again.
Yeah, but that was issue 17, so there's only 25 issues, so that was way over half of the book of all of that. And everything leading up to that was him. Everything that made what happened in the last 7 issues of the book was made because of the first 17 issues when he was building his team together to find his son. So I thought it filled in.
Yeah, but the whole time, though, he was just looking for answers and wondering what Palpatine was doing in secret and trying to find out what the deal was with these replacements. This stuff with Luke was just on the side.
No, that was the whole point. Did y'all read a different book than I was reading? The whole point of it was...
The Luke thing was the main objective, definitely. And then he was just doing fucking Palpatine shit because he had to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was doing Palpatine shit because he had to do it. While at the same time building his own army together, or basically his own crew together to go his real mission, which was figuring out who the Death Star pilot was, and then once he figured out who it was, getting him.
Right.
That was the whole point of this, which leads right into Empire Strikes Back, which the whole point is that Darth Vader's trying to get Luke to come to the dark side.
Dark side, right.
Also, this fills in the gap of how in the first movie, if you watch episode 4, Vader is basically like Tarkin's bitch, like his muscle, like his bouncer and shit that handles all his heavy work. And then in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, he's like the dude in charge. And this shows how he got Palpatine's approval to move up in the ranks so that he could be the dude in charge.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to read and to see how Vader was getting punked, yo. God damn, I just never seen nobody punk Vader continuously like that first general, or what's the dude's name that was punking him? Not
Tag.
Yeah, Tagger was punking him? Okay.
Yeah, but he got punked in episode 4. Like, if you watch A New Hope, he's not in charge. Tarkin is in charge. Have y'all watched that recently?
No.
I actually haven't watched those in a pretty long time. We should do
You should. I think you're absolutely right. I think this is a big issue with all the Star Wars shit that we're always talking about. people romanticize these first three movies, and they romanticize them either one, they look at it through a nostalgic lens, through the eyes of when they were a kid, so they don't want to see anything wrong with it, or
Right,
two, they haven't watched it in years and years, so they can only go off their positive memories of being a young person when they first saw it, so they think that these movies were great. And I enjoy those movies, but if you go back, I've watched these three recently, and like I watched them last year. If you go back and watch these three films, there's a lot of issues with these films, and it's because George Lucas is a idea guy. He came up with a big idea of this Star Wars universe, which is a fantastic idea. But George Lucas is horrible at details, which you saw even in more display when you watch the prequels. He is horrible at the details. He's horrible at the little stuff. And the reason why all the shit that makes sense with Star Wars is all the shit that came after the Lucas shit. It's the cartoons. It's the extended universe books. It's the comic books that all make sense of the shit that Lucas tried to do because it didn't make any sense. They had to rewrite The Empire Strikes Back because the script was so fucked up that they had to rewrite it at the last minute and make that film and make those changes, which is why Luke and Leia were never supposed to be sisters and brothers. Like, none of that shit was supposed to happen the way that it happened. They written changed that shit in the last minute because it was all out of whack and out of place. So I really enjoyed this book because, one, if you watch the original trilogy, if you read like IGN lists and different comic book lists, they always say the number one or number, it's either him or Heath Ledger's Joker is like the best villain in the history of movies, right? Darth Vader's the number two villain in the history of movies. But if you actually go back and watch episode 4, 5, and 6, he doesn't do shit. Like Darth Vader, like you don't like the most deadly scene you've ever seen of Darth Vader in cinema is Rogue One, where he
blew up a planet.
That was no. That was not Darth Vader. That was still Anakin.
What?
You're talking about Revenge of the Sith?
No. He blew up Alderaan in episode 4.
I mean, yeah, he blew up Alderaan, but he didn't fucking do shit. He pressed the button. I'm talking about the badass fucking... You know, everybody's scared of Vader, right? And you're like, why is everybody so scared of Vader? They never show you why people are scared of Vader.
Right.
They never give you a reason to fear him. Like, he's just a dude that blew up shit and fucking took orders from the dude, chopped off a dude's arm, had a weak ass fight with Obi-Wan, and then jumped the fucking Emperor from behind his back and threw him away when he was electrocuting Luke.
Yeah, part of the reason those movies are like that is because they're just old. They couldn't have. They didn't have technology to have
I saw Enter the Dragon from 1972, and they had some fucking great ass fight scenes. So don't give me that shit of his old. Do you know how many kung fu movies came out in the 70s, Mike? You may not be hip on this genre, but Devin and I used to watch these as a kid.
Yeah.
The kung fu movies in the 70s had fight scenes that are fucking great. They could have had some better fights, but they never even showed him fighting, except Obi-Wan. That was really the only fight you see him in. I'm talking about the original trilogy.
And he's a good pilot.
Yeah, and he's a good pilot. If you watch him... And they go into really good depth in this book, especially in the Vader Down series, how good of a pilot he is. But the first time you ever see Vader be like the scary motherfucker is Rogue One at the end of the movie, where he gets on that fucking plane and he's basically like a nightmare and just fucking runs through all of them, just runs through them like they were nothing. That shit was like, oh, that's why people are scared of Vader. That makes, like, when you watch that, when you realize that Rogue One takes place before episode 4, and when you watch that, you go, oh, that's why people are scared of Vader. But if you watch the old movies, he wasn't terrifying at all. He was just a dude. So, Mike, when you were reading this book, what kind of stood out to you about this book? Well, actually, I'll take that back. We'll talk about that in a second. What did you think about the two droids and Dr. Aphra? Because they were a big part of this book.
Droids are hilarious. They're like a sadist C-3PO, and I mean, it was obviously it was like an evil parody of or evil version of C-3PO and R2-D2, sadist and evil little droids who like to watch. They were all they kind of reminded me of. They're also the second, or I guess not the astromech, but the 000.
Yeah.
He is the second droid I've seen in Star Wars to reference the fact that droids shouldn't be like subservient to man. And that's after L3 from Solo.
We got that robot revolution on our hands right there.
This is the first time I've ever heard anyone in Star Wars, except for L3, say like, "Yo, why are we doing this?" But I guess we have to. You know what I'm saying?
Triple Zero, though. Triple Zero was fucking dope as shit. Just cause, like, he's like, "Yo, I should get money." Like when they got the cut, he was like, "Yo, you don't short me. Give me my fucking money, yo."
He was so petty too. Like remember when the woman Queen Trios, we'll get to that in a little bit, where he put Queen Trios, Vader killed her family and then made her queen, and then she kind of turned to the dark side, and at the end she's like, "So did you make a good choice, Vader?" And then Vader's like, "There was no choice." No, he was like, "It was the only choice." And then Triple Zero's like, "Well, that could mean that he made a good choice, or that you were just the worst choice, and that he picked you because you were sorry." And I was like, "You're so petty." And by the way,
rebuilt that army to suck the blood out of humans as fuel.
Well, he didn't. No. So that's what I was about to say. He was even too evil for Vader, because he said, "Well, we should suck the blood out of these people and use them as fuel to make us stronger." And Vader said, "No, you're not about to do that." And then the Triple Zero told the other army that's what was going to happen, and he used that to scare them, but he didn't actually do it. Because remember, the dude at the end was like, we surrender, just don't suck our blood."
I thought he did it.
No, he didn't do it. He basically was like, "You said that I couldn't do it, but you technically didn't say I couldn't threaten them." And so I just threatened him with it.
Every time the whatever her name is, how you say her name?
Dr. Aphra?
Aphra. Every time she was like, "Yo, Triple Zero, get that information out of him," and they cut that shit. I was just always thinking the worst shit was happening to these people, because he always got the information. And
he'd come back. Oh, he is ready to talk right now.
Yeah, like happy as a bitch, happy and quick as shit too. Like, because I know it happened real quick. Like,
yeah, and BT had like the most guns. Like, remember when he came up against R2D2, and he's like, "I don't think you want any part of BT," and C3PO's like, "He is a such and such as," when he gives the name of it, and then he just pops out all those fucking guns.
All them guns.
That was so good. Mike, what'd you think about Aphra? Because she has her own book as well. She became like a really popular character. I just saw that they made action figures of her and stuff. Like she's got her own book now. Like she's become really popular.
Yeah, I can see why. I enjoyed her. And I'm glad she survived. I was wondering the whole time what was going to happen to her by the end. Me too. So I'm glad she made it. I don't know. I mean, she was witty, and I honestly didn't think Vader could have friends until I.
Are they friends really? I mean, he did kill her. Technically,
he did. He did. Damn sure tried to kill that bitch.
He was like just using her to his advantage, but that's the closest thing he's gonna have to a friend, except for the Emperor.
Well, here's the thing. I'm trying to figure. I want to read her book because I want to know what was her motivation behind. Like in the beginning, she seemed like super excited to work with Vader, and I'm like,
she trying to fuck Vader? I feel like
I'm like, that's Vader though. Like, and then she knew what was going to happen. She was like, "Oh, I know you're gonna kill me," but just so every time something came up, she basically was like, "All right, I got two options. I can either let it run and he'll find me, hunt me down, and kill me, or I could take my chances by being honest with him, and maybe he'll let me live another day." So, and she kept doing that. So, that part in Vader Down when he tells him where Luke is, and then he shows up and all the Rebel fighters are there, and she's like, that nigga probably thinks that I set him up. So if he makes it out of here, he's going to kill me. So she's like, if I run and he don't die, I'm going to die. If I go help him, I can keep him alive, and he may kill me, but I may have a chance to explain to him that I didn't set him up and convince him. So that part was good as well. But yeah, she has her own book, and she ends up getting captured by the rebels, but they don't do it. If you watch, so apparently a lot of that shit happened in the Star Wars book, where she was captured by the rebels and how she escaped. But she gets out of the rebels, and then she goes and tells Palpatine that the whole time he was doing shit for her, Vader was out doing his bidding. He had his separate plan that he was doing on his own, and basically Palpatine was like, yeah, she basically snitched, and then Palpatine was like, Vader, my man, you even more evil than I thought, boy. Thank you. Which was a funny reaction, but of course that's what he would say, because the Sith are all about letting their emotions drive them, like their anger and their deceit and all that stuff to drive them. So that was very interesting. Mike, what did you think about Vader's plot in the beginning to build his own team to figure out who Luke was?
I thought the Emperor was going to find out, and he didn't. I thought it was cool, though, to see. I just didn't understand why he didn't just... why did he have to go so far outside the Empire?
Because the Emperor knew that...
Because that's where he would get information.
Right.
He had to get the information about the shit that was going on. So, and what this book also shows is that Vader's more than just a fucking muscle. Like, he is a smart, fucking cunning dude. Like, this whole book is him plotting shit. Like, just him plotting everything. Like, remember when they robbed their own empire, like their own imperial ship?
And shit?
Yeah, to get money so they could pay off this dude who would find out about this other dude who could tell them who the pilot was, where he was located. Like, he planned that whole shit out. It was so good to see that.
I think more so that for me and Mike, like me and Mike were talking before we got on, and it's just more of we can see Anakin and Vader more by reading this book,
yes,
than we could before, and it gives you substance to Vader in the turn because Anakin's still in there. Anakin was reckless, but it always worked out, and like Vader would always put himself right in harm's way or take that risk to the point, but know he could get out because he trusted himself and the Force and shit. So like it really just lends itself to the whole turn and the whole character as him turning into Vader.
And it also shows that Anakin, it also brings back the part that Anakin, like you were like, I couldn't believe he was being bitched by the Emperor or the Western. And I'm like, I could believe it because Anakin was always looking to fucking, first of all, he was a whiny little bitch, but he was always looking for the approval of the Jedis before he turned on them. The reason why he turned on, one of the reasons why he turned on him because they wouldn't make him a Jedi Knight. A Jedi Master. And so he's like, and so in this movie, this book, he's like trying to get back on Palpatine's good side, trying to get back in the good graces the whole time. And it makes sense with the character. And you even see that one part where the inspector was like, I know you've been trying to get after your son. I know this is Luke, blah, 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 blah. And I know you're going to kill me after I tell you this information, but I believe in you and I believe you're better for the Empire. And he was like, so go ahead, Anakin. And then Vader kills him, right? So, like, Anakin is still in there at this point in the movie. At this point in the story, which you don't actually see in the original series until Return of the Jedi, really. And that's because it was never planned for, like I said earlier, it was never planned for him to be Anakin Skywalker. So, these books are trying to go back and make shit make sense. It's the same thing with these new movies. Like, when you watch Rogue One, it makes episode 4 make so much more sense. Actually, the whole original trilogy, it just makes it make so much more sense. Like this, like like when you read the first scroll of the first Star Wars movie, it says like after a big win, the rebel soldiers were like reeling about to break, but this big win came through and it put them back on track or something. You're like, well, what the fuck happened? Like they and so Rogue One basically tells the story of like what happened and how they got to that point. It shows Vader being a badass. Like Solo tells the story of like how Han Solo ends up possibly being the guy who could help an empire instead of just this smuggler dude who don't give a fuck about anybody. But it also gives the background of why he runs away from shit. Like how he ran away in episode 4 and tried to run away in episode 5. Like it brings all of that shit back up and makes it make sense. And I imagine if we were to read the Star Wars book itself, we would find a lot more shit that makes this series make sense. Mike, what'd you think about the Palpatine's plan of possibly replacing Vader, because I feel like that makes more sense in the movies too. Because the reason why Palpatine wanted Luke so bad was because he wanted to manipulate Luke so he could replace Vader with Luke.
Yeah, in the movies, Vader just stands there too while he tells Luke that. You remember?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, what'd you think about that in this book? He had those.
It makes sense.
He had those droids. He had Carbon and those two twins. Like, what'd you think about that part?
It makes sense. Like the Empire had been working on the Death Star for like 20 or 30 years, and then they use it one time and it blows up. And I mean, I guess you could blame Vader for that, the entire thing, because I guess he was consumed with so much finding.
You're breaking up, Mike. Get closer.
I really feel like low key, like they had Instagram or some type of like social media, because like everybody know who fucking Luke is. Everybody know who the motherfucker. There's a motherfucking pilot that destroyed the Death Star, and like they don't know his name yet. You gotta be crazy. Like people out here talking about Luke in these streets, man. Like that was my whole thing. Like I feel like it'd be easy to find Luke. Like if everybody's talking about this, it's like everybody knows the motherfucking pilot that destroyed the motherfucking Death Star. So I'm like, how they don't know where the fuck he is in the story? That's what I'm thinking when I'm reading this shit.
I feel like he's popular in the Rebel circles. I don't feel like he's popular in the Empire circles. So like, because you gotta remember, Luke was just a farm boy from Tatooine. He ain't nobody special.
Man, that shit was real too though. That when he went to when Vader went back home and fucking used the Force and shit early in the book and
killed that whole family.
Yeah,
I mean, like the whole group of people. Yeah, that was like, yo, this book, like, this is what I'm saying. Rogue One and this book really show you what a badass fucking Vader is. Like, this motherfucker shows up at this in this new solar system, and it's fucking it's like 3 squadrons of rebel soldiers doing training, and they're like, oh shit, it's fucking Vader by himself. We about to fucking end this shit right now. And he proceeds to fucking destroy 2 complete squadrons of fucking rebels by himself. Like, that shit was so badass. That shit was so badass. And he fucking... Didn't he throw some dude into the sun? Like, when he was in the ore, like the Baron ores, he threw the one dude into the sun.
Oh, yeah, he did. I thought I got down there.
Then then the twin turned on the other twin, right? And knocked it in the fucking lava. And so Vader fucking force pulls the chick out of the lava and to get information from her. And then she's like, thank you. And then he throws her right back in the lava. Yo, he is so fucking ruthless in this book. It's so good. Oh, my God, so good. What else did I have on here that I wanted to talk about? What did you guys think about Silo, the guy who created the cyborgs and had all that tech shit?
I was about to say we should talk about them. I just think it's cool because he's just resourceful and knows that it makes perfect sense in this AI war we're gonna have against our artificial intelligence, that they're just gonna keep fucking switching to different bodies, be in different vessels, but they're gonna be alive forever. But like that shit was scary because that nigga was dead. They killed him before, and then you pop up in a different place, a different location. This motherfucker's alive.
Also, he thought he had a failsafe on Vader. He's like, I built you. I got this button that's going to disable all your fucking mechanics.
Oh, that was probably my favorite part of the whole book.
Yeah, talk about that part, Mike.
I guess this guy also built the original, or was contributed to the Vader's original suit, so he put in a failsafe that he said he never thought he'd have to use, where if he pushed this button, Vader's suit just stops to work and he just kind of kneels. Then you see Vader going through all these memories and stuff, like all the most angriest things in his life, and I guess he just got so angry he just got up and ignored the failsafe, killed him anyway, which was awesome.
The Force, man, that anger will drive you. That's Sith Lord shit, man. They are all about their emotions, and that shit was cool as shit because Vader just basically like, I'm about to force my way through your fucking tech.
He altered the memories, though.
He altered whose memories?
Like, in the memory he had, Obi-Wan throws him in the lava.
Oh, the dude altered his memories?
No. Vader's memories were different than how they were in the movie.
Oh, in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he just did that to make it angry.
Yo, what do
Maybe
y'all
that's
think
how
about?
Anakin sees how it happened.
What do you think about my man Palpatine always fucking shitting on Vader and shit? And then there's this one fucking board grab I got when Palpatine was talking shit about Vader. Hold on, I'm gonna fucking read it. He was like, "You have to forgive Lord Vader. He's sensitive about the topic of children."
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, Palpatine was basically like, you fucked up. So I'm gonna need you to like get out in these streets and fix my shit, or we're gonna get another one of you because you're a replaceable, son.
Yeah, man.
Whole time he knows he's not replaceable. He's just doing this to get him to that point where he know he could be.
That shit is crazy, man. My thing about Palpatine, right? That's all I always feel like. How the fuck don't nobody know he Palpatine, yo? Because when he's his fucking chancellor, like, what? Nigga, your nails is fucked up like that? Your eyeballs is fucked up like that? Like, how you fixing this shit? They got contacts? I need answers, yo.
I mean, Superman does like take off glasses. Nobody knows who he is. There's that.
He putting Visine in his eyes. What is he doing, yo? I need to know.
There's another.
He didn't always look like that, though.
Yeah, he didn't always look like that.
Mace Windu and turned his electricity back on him, and it like messed up his face.
Yes.
So he can no longer be chancellor anymore. But I thought he was going back and forth, still being chancellor or whatever.
No, he stopped that after episode 3. He was like, he showed his face to everybody. He was like, I was just attacked by the Jedi. This is what happened. This is my face now.
So, did you guys read the annual?
I did not.
So in the annual, it was in a separate part of Marvel Unlimited, but in the annual, it takes place after like episode 16. So it's why it's like after Vader down, it's like this big, it's like this, it seems like it's this jump to like Vader being on that planet, the Ore planet or whatever. So in the annual comes out before that. So basically in the annual, Palpatine's like, these people are fucked up. You got to go like fix their shit. So he goes to their planet and he kills that queen's whole family and then installs her to be the person in charge. And basically because she was the weakest in his mind, he wanted to make the weakest and most easily manipulated person in charge. So, and when you get back, it's this panel where she's talking to him and she's like, I have the Empire's yoke around my neck. For my people's sake, I wear it. But they must think me a queen. If you treat me so in front of my subordinates, do you think they'll obey me when you leave? And then Vader says, I will treat you with the illusion of respect, as long as you do not dream to question me in public. And she says, it's a deal. And he says, no, it's simply how it will be. And I'm like, yo, this dude does not fucking play, man. He is so fucking ruthless. Like, I love that shit, yo. How many times in this book was at the end of a conversation was Vader just walking away saying some fucking real mean shit? Like, I need you to go do this. And he's like,
he did that to Lando in episode 5 when he was like, this is not how the deal was supposed to go. And Vader was just like, I have altered the deal. Right. Yeah. I'm going to alter it further.
Yeah. He's like, you better not disappoint me. And she'd be like, I won't disappoint you. And she's like, I know, or you will not be alive. And I'm like, okay. All right. Also, Palpatine was still salty he lost that fight to Obi-Wan and fucking in the prequels. Because she brings it up. He's like, and you lost that fight to the Obi-Wan and shit. Like, I'm like, God damn, that must have happened years ago. You still mad at that shit? Like, let it go. He got him back. So that was good as well. What else happened in this book that I thought was really interesting?
What about the bounty hunter? And I like the Black Wookiee. That was cool.
Oh yeah, the Black Wookiee, Boba Fett. We saw him. We saw Boba Fett go. You see Boba Fett a lot in the Star Wars book, I heard. But yeah. So remember when Vader he jumped in that fucking monster's mouth and then lightsabered out of that shit?
The Rancor.
Yeah, yo. He was so good on this book, man. People should read this shit. Like, if you really want to see why Darth Vader is such a badass, you've got to read this book because he is literally just destroying the universe by himself. Like Vader, if Vader wanted to, he could have ended the rebels. Like, I'm sorry, he was more badass than Luke. I'm sorry, he is. He would have won. His heart got in the way, and he turned back to the light a little bit. But if he wanted to, he'd have got through all that shit. He just would have.
All of it.
He'd have destroyed them. That'd have been done. Also, you do see Leia for a little in the Vader Down crossover, and you see why she was the leader of the rebels and why she is the real badass of this film. She was ready to fucking sacrifice herself. She was basically like, I'm gonna go up here and fight Vader, and then y'all come back around and drop bombs on us. And they're like, you're gonna die. And she's like, I know, but it's what has to be done. I'm like, God damn, like, Leia, you is the shit. Like, you are really the shit, like, from the beginning.
Real MVP. Definitely.
She is the real MVP. So Vader definitely did that. You didn't see Luke that much in this book, but when you saw him, you can tell that, like, he had this shit going on in the Vader Down crossover because he's, like, in this temple, and he's getting all these, like, hearing these voices, like these Force voices and shit, talking to him. So you know there's something up with him, like, going on with him, but you don't exactly know. But I mean, just, you know, because we've seen the movies, but reading this book, you're like, oh, and you can tell Vader knows. Like, Vader's like, yeah, I think there's something in this boy. But they let you know that it's not a Force thing that he's picked up on, because if it was, when he's staring right across to Leia, he would have been like, oh, yeah, she's got the Force in her too. She might be my daughter, right? But that never comes across his mind, which tells me that it was never meant to be the Force thing figuring out. He actually had to figure out that Luke was his son. So I thought that was really good. So there's another Vader series after this, but I think that takes place before this one. I think it takes place before episode. I'm not sure where it takes place, but I know I hearing somebody.
I think it's immediately after 3 in his like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think I know somebody who was reading it, and they told me like the first arc is like basically Vader trying to get his lightsaber back. And so he's like going through these towns, like destroying whole cities to find a lightsaber. And I'm like, this man is really good.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
So when Dr. Aphra, whatever her name, Aphra, whatever, went to the guy that told her that, fucking Princess Amidala, whatever. What's her name? No, what's her name? What's Anakin's?
Padme.
Padme, yeah. Padme had a son. Why didn't he say nothing about the daughter?
He didn't get a chance to. She was there basically to confirm it.
Wow.
Or he didn't know, right? Or he just withheld that information.
Because I mean, he knew. I mean, yeah, he knew he was a Jedi. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. That's the only thing I was like kind of confused about. Like, why didn't he say anything about Leia? But whatever. That was his question.
That's a great question. That's a good point. They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose because they had to explain why Vader would not know Leia but knows Luke. So I thought that made perfect sense. I thought that was really well done. Mike, you got any last thoughts about this book?
I think covered everything. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. It was good.
Devin?
Oh no, I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. My man, 000 made every little frame or panel he was in. He won for me. I definitely got a chuckle out of it, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, 000 was one of the best parts of this book, honestly. He was so fucking evil, and he was such a sadist. He didn't even just want to kill people. He enjoyed torturing them.
Yes.
it made his dick hard to fucking torture people. Like, it was so fucking funny. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was done very well. Anything Kieran Gillen does, I really enjoy. I just found out that Jason Aaron was writing Star Wars when I did this crossover, and I'm like, why haven't I been reading this shit? Because he is the best. We may at one point go back and read the Star Wars series. That series is still ongoing, by the way. And Marvel's doing a lot of Star Wars stuff. So they have a Dr. Aphra book. They have a Darth Maul book. They have.
Oh, I'm gonna read that Maul book definitely.
They have a Poe Dameron book. They got they did a Lando one shot. They did a Chewbacca like miniseries. They've done a lot of stuff around this universe in the comic books in the last couple of years. That from all accounts from people that I know have read it, almost all of them have been pretty good. So at some point in the book clubs, we'll come back and read some more Star Wars stuff. But
definitely got to talk about the Clone Wars and then the Rebels. So we'll definitely come back to Star Wars. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for listening. We will be back with our regular show coming up soon as well. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts at. Leave us a 5-star review. It helps us out a lot. And thank you guys for listening. Talk to you later.